This episode of the AI Inside Podcast is brought to you by Aria. Get started for free today at airia.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the AI Inside Podcast, the show where we take a look at the AI that is layered throughout so much of the world of technology, check in on some of the news and the trends and the things happening each and every week. That's what we do on this midweek episode of the show. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Howell, joined, as always, by Jeff Jarvis. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, we're a day late for those of you who watch live, so thanks for your patience.
I have to
apologize.
It
wasn't the bathroom? Is the bathroom done
No.
away?
This time it was not the bathroom. No, the glass is still not on.
Still not done.
I'm telling you, man.
It's easier to destroy the world with AI than it is to get a bathroom shower in.
Jeez, no kidding. I could have got an AI agent to design and finish my bathroom in quicker time. Plenty of people told me in advance. They were like, they're going to tell you when it's going to be done by. It's going to be done much later than that. And that is proving to be true. The delay for this episode had to do with my dog, who is a chronic toy swallower. And he swallowed pieces of a toy, which ended up being a piece of a tennis ball. The second time he has done that, that's required surgery. This dog has a problem, and as a result, we have a problem. So we're trying to figure out how we train that out of him. But anyways, I had a vet visit yesterday that coincided with the show, so I had to postpone. So
Poor Bronson.
Poor Bronson.
What a doofball.
Stupid but adorable. Stupid but also very smart. Like, he is a smart dog. But this one thing, hey, some of us just have vices, right? And he's got a vice. It's eating toys. That's his vice. So anyways, I hope we can figure out how to work around that. But for now, he is okay, just for anyone wondering. So we've got plenty of news to talk about. Why don't we start off with Sam Altman announcing just last week that ChatGPT is going to get all sexy. ChatGPT for adult users.
Just the way you said that gives me the creeps.
Yeah, well, it's pretty creepy. I mean, I gotta say, I was kind of surprised that Sam Altman announced this was coming. I think I had relegated this whole adult chat thing, adult erotica content inside of AI chatbots to Grok, because that's what Musk has been kind of talking about in the past. But now it's starting, I don't know, it's starting to proliferate outside. Like, if a ChatGPT is getting in on this bandwagon, I kind of imagine that some of the other chats are going to do this as well. I could be wrong, but yeah, happening very soon.
So
erotica.
I'll go ahead and say this. So I'm a Howard Stern fan.
Mm-hmm.
I like Howard Stern. Howard Stern actually picks up my phone calls. I called in after the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing and had a nice chat with Howard, and he's grateful for the reviews that I wrote in the day. I was one of the people who stood by him in the whole FCC fight. Yeah. So I like Howard. Now, there are moments when I would have Howard on the radio with and a kid in the car, and I'd say, change channel, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody was in the car today as I was driving here. Part of the reason we were a little late where we thought we were going to be today because I was stuck in traffic going to IKEA to look for desk chairs, which is driving me completely crazy because I hate lumbar support, but that's a whole different subject. So I'm listening to Howard Stern, and they had two of their people visit the Real Doll factory.
The Real Doll.
Real Doll is a life-size, pardon me for this, folks, but it's Howard Stern, and it's the internet, and it's life, and stuff happens. So it's a life-sized sex doll.
Okay.
And these have been out for years, and so the Stern Show has had gags around this for years. So now, guess what? It's AI-powered.
Now, of course it is. Of course it is.
Right?
They've probably been considering this for so long. They're like, now's the time.
So it was actually fascinating. This is as close as I will ever get to it. But these are 3D real dolls.
Like life-size things. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Totally.
Oh, yes. Which you can do things with, and I'll stop
Okay.
at that. And Ronnie, who was Howard's driver for years, Ronnie's the crude kind of sex guy. He says, it's like buying an Oldsmobile. You get to pick out the eyes you want and, whatever. So, but they did a whole bunch of things of putting her through its paces when interacting with the device. I'm trying to be as clinical as I can be. The eyes will open, the face will move based on pleasure. Okay. Eyes will roll up, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And it talks to you. And because it's an LLM, it knows to say more. So at one point, Mehmet, the Stern guy who was there on this tour with Ronnie, says, I want to role play you're having sex with Howard Stern.
Oh my goodness!
And she says, and he says things about Howard Stern, but the LLM obviously looks up Howard Stern on the internet and comes back. The voice calls him ugly, which was kind of weird, but he talks about himself as ugly all the time. And Mehmet hadn't really said anything about that, and it went out and got that. It also talked about his small manhood, which he makes a big shtick out of, right? So, point being, finally, Jeff, why are you going off on this? Now
I had no idea we were going to go here, but
no,
here we
I didn't either. We're going to get ratings this week, folks. Sex. The show's about sex. So now add this in to the OpenAI announcement.
Yeah.
Right. Add this in, and so Robin Quivers, who's the co-host of the show, asked and said, "Did they say how long before this thing is going to be?" You put the head where you want it. It doesn't move the head.
Okay.
But it's not going to be long. And so one of the guys was saying, well, yeah, if you look what Elon Musk is doing with these robots that he supposedly has that supposedly work, it's not going to be long before these dolls are going to maybe walk, do other things at the same time. But I would have anticipated all of that, right? How do I put this? They have included Bluetooth technology in the doll's organs so that it recognizes certain activities and points, and it's tied into the reactions that the doll gives, all right? But that's all just plain old robotics, right? I kind of get that's where it was going to go. But I didn't predict that these now animated objects would take on personality. And so the people who were chatting with Chat 4.0 and fell in love with it will now have a 3D version of that. And
once these things really converge, probably won't take too long either, right?
No, it won't. It won't.
Relatively easy to take the computer, the processor and the storage and everything that's inside of the doll, let's say, and infuse the ChatGPT or whatever system they use model to drive the personality of it.
Right.
Not that complicated. I mean, I say this not knowing how complicated it actually is, but I'm assuming.
So they talked to. I mean, it was kind of journalism in a weird and kinky way. They talked to one woman who is the one who prepares the dolls because these are done to spec, right? It's an Oldsmobile, and so she does the makeup and she does the eyes and she does the hair and all that. And she said that, yeah, she sometimes thinks about what happens to my children, what's happening to this. But put that aside. I think it was her, maybe it was another person, was predicting, saying, they asked one of the employees there, will people stop having sex with people? And they basically said, yeah, I think it'll be 50-50.
Who's the they in this situation?
The population. Those who have this in the future with robotics.
Who
and
said
with
that
LLMs.
Though? Was that
somebody at Real Doll? Somebody at the Real.
Somebody at Real Doll. Okay,
so they were pushing this, right?
So of course they're pushing it. So they're
absolutely,
have a big,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta get this off my screen, by the way. It's been on my screen.
Yes.
And so I'm anticipating the next moral panic. Because people were fearing that, well, we don't really have any relationships with anybody because we're talking to our phones, where in fact you're often talking to a human being on the phone, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we fear that, people are building real relationships with these LLMs. Now they become intimate relationships with technology that's built around this, not just at the Real Doll company, but at OpenAI.
At OpenAI, the AI service that is arguably the most popular, most used, most understood, known. I'm probably to a certain degree, the Kleenex of AI when it comes to random person who has a smartphone who's never used AI before. Probably they have heard of ChatGPT, and when they decide, oh, I want to try AI for the first time, I'm guessing the high likelihood that they're going to try ChatGPT because that's just what they've heard. That's just what they know. It's kind of like Kleenex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so then,
sorry to surprise you with that rabbit hole, but
yeah, that was a surprise, but that's okay. That's okay. It ties into.
It's a good thing the show was delayed a day because otherwise I wouldn't have been listening to Howard Stern. I wouldn't have had this gem to add to our discussion of AI.
Really happy that we got that in there.
Thank you, Bronson.
No pun intended. I think So and Altman has said, along with this, and we're definitely going to talk, a little bit further about this, but there are, kind of controls, guardrails, as we sometimes refer to them. And of course, guardrails being as imperfect as they are, remains to be seen how that will really kind of impact what this is. And we've seen parts of this before with ChatGPT, not necessarily maybe to the degree of erotic relationship, but we've seen a more relational or whatever you want to call it, chatbot. GPT-4o kind of had that. And when OpenAI rolled out ChatGPT-5, people who actually really liked the relational, kind of more personable GPT-4o experience were not very happy with the fact that GPT-5 kind of became a little stale or a little more sanitized, let's say, cold. And so to a certain degree, this is a return to something that they were already doing. But I think it's also beyond that. It's also saying, and if you want to, you can have erotic conversations with the ChatGPT. We're okay, because what Altman says is we think we've got the tools in place, tying into some of the safeguards that they had announced a couple of months ago. The tools are good enough. The tools are in place to the point to where we can do this responsibly, let's say. And that really remains to be seen.
Right. And he's saying at the same time, well, because we're being forced, a story we'll get to have age verification, then we can if we can guarantee that you're an adult, then what's the harm? Kind of. However, obviously, if you know that if you're 14 years old and you know that there's sex on the other side of that barrier, you're now more motivated to break the age verification.
Yeah, which is not difficult to break.
No, it's not going to be, and that's going to cause more problems. And then, are they going to make age verification more official and more difficult for all of us because of that? There's slippery slopes aplenty here.
Yeah.
To go down. As you're talking, I think there's kind of a meter of, I don't know what it is. It's a relationship meter, right? The one level, it's a very cold and mechanical relationship. Then there's one up where it's sycophantic. It praises you. It makes little jokes. It tries to be anthropomorphic. It tries to engage with you. One of the papers that I think I have this week is that if you make a habit of saying goodbye to the AI, it oftentimes tries to say, no, don't go. I have one more thing.
Don't leave me. I'm lonely.
Right. So there's that first notch, right? The next notch up, I think, is companionship. I don't know anybody to talk to, so I'll talk to the AI and I'll get some reaction. I'll get some yucks. That's fine. Then the next notch up, I think, is therapy, which has its issues. Then the next notch up, I would say, is romance. People think that they have a relationship with this thing. And the next notch up is now sex. What does AI sex look like? And all of that has issues. Again, because this is the first literate machine. This is the machine that can talk to us and listen to us in our language. So this wasn't possible before. So it's a whole new frontier. And there are those who say, I had something I think we talked about a few weeks ago. Somebody was arguing that this is creating a new species. I think that's wrong. It's not AGI. It's not a new species. It's not a new living beast. It's not sentient. It doesn't have feelings. And I think we've got to emphasize that again and again and again and again. But there's just a natural inclination where people want to do these things on this meter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to have a lot of discussion about the ethics of this and the power you then have over people, the technology then has over people. I think that's what the 4.0 thing revealed to us.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on when I think about this, because you're right that people want to have some sort of interaction on, within that scale that you specified. Like, there are people that legitimately want to have a kind of deeper relationship, let's say, with a chatbot than just I ask it a question and it gives me the information I want. There are people who legitimately want that. I want my chatbot to be more personable. I want it to be more human-like or whatever. There are also legitimately people that want to use these things for things like erotic conversations and sexy stuff and whatever. And yeah, I mean, and we also know that people who create social networks, people who create AI platforms, whatever, they're looking for features and integrations and all these things that are sticky. Again, no pun intended, but that
Jeez.
You know what? But what I mean is, like, they want to create something that is that inspires their users to want to use it more. That's just been the foundation of these services for the last 20 years, let's say, with social media especially. It's been all about what changes can we make to the algorithm or the experience or whatever to make people come back or to make people spend as much time as possible with our service. And you know what'll keep people there? Emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Emotional attachment, sexy stuff, like that's going to draw people, and there's money in their hills. You know?
Well, the other factor here is privacy. And I don't mean that, and usually when you say that word, you think, oh, it's about a big tech company stealing your data. This is a different angle of privacy. When, pardon me for my Gutenberg roots, but when movable type came, and when silent reading preceded movable type, right? People tended to read out loud. That was actually the polite thing to do. And you only had one book, and it was very expensive because it was handwritten. And so you read it out loud. Come print, it led to silent reading. It also then led to people no longer dictating to scribes, that they started writing themselves. And that is what led to pornography and heresy. Because the things you would not say with the scribe as your witness, you could now say to the paper or the parchment as the only witness. Right. And you could say forbidden things.
There was less risk involved.
A lot less.
Yeah.
And then even in print, you could do it anonymously and imagine others getting it, right? So this transition to text had a lot to do with privacy and what came out of that. Again, it wasn't just sex, it was also heresies. It was also doubting things you couldn't say against orthodoxy. So now we come to AI. My point being that it is an extremely, except for the fact that you're talking to a company you don't know and God knows what they do with it, you feel as if you are talking privately to something to which you cannot be embarrassed. I find it difficult. I mean, Jason does really good demos, and we're going to do more demos, I think. Don't worry, I don't think we're ever going to do a sex demo on this show.
No, we'll leave that to your imagination.
We'll leave that to others. Yeah, we're Howard Stern show. Maybe I'll go in with them on that. But I don't know about you, but if I try to imagine myself sitting down and having a sex conversation with, I would be embarrassed with myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just me, and others won't be like that. And so it's a really interesting factor here to say that what people can do, what they think is bringing out their true essence, and it may not be. It may just be something that norms kept down and should have, or not. This is all going to be a fascinating world. So,
yeah,
that's one headline down.
Yeah, I know. It is fascinating. I should also say that that Altman came out, I think, today, kind of responding to some of the initial kind of pushback on, like, whoa, what are you doing here? to say that OpenAI isn't the moral police of the world. So they what did he say? Quote, not the elected moral police of the world, as a pushback on some of the criticism.
Which is a variant on what Zuckerberg always said, is that you don't want us determining truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not wrong to an extent. However, you still have a brand. You have a ChatGPT brand and an OpenAI brand, and it stands for something. And at some point, I think they're going to have to worry about that. And I said this on Intelligent Machines. They've been saying we're going to cure cancer, but instead, are we going to help people get off? Where are they going to put their development research resources? How many trees are we going to kill for that sigh?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. That's a whole other can of worms. It's like, what is the environmental impact of all that?
Especially when you tie this into
pleasure.
Sora.
Yeah, right.
It's visual.
Boy, I hadn't even considered that. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a whole other avenue. Well, speaking of OpenAI's,
I think we're going to have a spin-off here. It's AI and sex. It's a whole weekly show we're going to be doing.
Okay, we'll have to shelve that for now.
It could sell.
You never know. You never know. OpenAI has created an expert council on well-being and AI. So this is related, but I don't think this is necessarily connected directly.
I'd call this bad timing.
Yeah, that was kind of my question, is how much is this timing versus, okay, are these things directly connected? That's why I split them up into two different stories. But in this particular case, made up of 8 specialists in tech as well as mental health, obviously addressing wellness in the products that OpenAI creates. And but it doesn't, the group doesn't have any teeth, really. This is all about offering recommendations, and OpenAI has the ability to has the full power to make the decisions based on that. I think Meta did this not too long ago, earlier this year, with its own safety council that recommended strong safeguards, and Meta chose not to follow those. So just because you have a group like this doesn't necessarily mean that the company is going to adhere to them, even if there is some negativity there that should be adhered to, or should at least be concerned. So
Twitter, back in the good days of Twitter, had a similar group, but part of this is using the brand of the member of the group, hiding behind it in a sense. And so the question is, who joins these groups? You don't want to join it if you're just there for show. And so I think it's really important to realize, to follow these things and say, who's putting their name behind this? Sure.
Well, and then we have ... in the state of California, which is where I am located anyways, in Petaluma. Governor Gavin Newsom and the new law, SB 243. So signing this into law, basically. Companies like OpenAI facing direct legal pressure to apply guardrails in an effort to shape, responsible AI development, safety standards around AI, and, it's intended to focus and protect vulnerable users, children, of course, which really touches back on the ChatGPT, Erotica thing, and how easy those age verification things are to get around. Enforcing age verification, obviously, warning labels, crisis prevention protocols, penalties for harm, also requires transparency about the safety efforts of the company, and explicitly requires the prevention of sexual and romantic chats with minors. How those things line up, the age verification, but it's really easy to bypass, and explicitly preventing these kinds of chats with minors. I don't know how those things squish together, because age verification is pretty easy to get around, as we've mentioned just a couple of times now.
So there were 3 bills, as I understand it. I'm still confused about what each one of them was to do.
There were a few others, yeah.
So Newsom signed legislation requiring chatbot operators to prevent suicide content, notify minors they're chatting with machines. I think that's critically important. Constant reminder: I'm not human. I don't have feelings. I don't know meaning. I think it's got to be that caveat has to be up there, and to block explicit material for young people. However, he vetoed a more stringent companion chatbot bill. And so I'm not exactly sure where this comes out now in what's allowed and not allowed in California. I think it's going to happen. It's going to come into the courts and so on. So we'll see. But it's interesting. If I can go back for 1 second to the, I hadn't scrolled deep enough into the wellness group for
the advisory council
council for OpenAI. So I went down the names, and one name really strikes me there as very, very good. Andrew Przybylski is a professor of human behavior and technology at the University of Oxford. He is somebody I quoted a lot in The Web We Weave, because he's a counteraction to the moral panic around social and teens. Now, some people will look at him and say, "Oh, well, he's going to be excusing this stuff." No, he's really smart and excellent at this, but he demands to know what the evidence is and what the data are before panicking and before trying to throw in restrictions, especially in policy. And so having him there is going to be interesting. So I think that what I was saying is it depends on who's on this thing. That oomph it up right off the bat. So we'll see.
All right. We will see. And yeah, I think just in general, the questions that I have about this, when a state like California, signs something like this into law, so often that becomes a model for other states. They're early on. God, am I hearing my dog barking? Hope everything's okay.
So don't eat the squirrel.
Yeah, just leave it alone. Whatever it is, leave it alone. And so how this, how this impacts or influences other states as well, and what does that do to a company like OpenAI as it's, kind of having to balance its commercial incentives for this type of content, riskier content, let's say, with this legal accountability that at least in California, but possibly beyond.
Yep.
What is that? Yeah.
And this creates a new, you could call it lowest common denominator of freedom, but highest common denominator of regulation, highest watermark, is that most companies are going to have to follow what California decrees, because it's going to be too hard to split off California from elsewhere.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Very interesting stuff. All right. Well, we are first of all going to throw a big thank you to our patrons who support us each and every week, each and every month to do this show. We got a few of you to call out here. Big thank you to Eric Sundberg, Colin Murphy, Charlie De La Vida. Thank you so much. But we've got, there's a lot of you in our Patreon. There could always be more. Just saying. But thank you to those of you who do help us and contribute to the ongoing health and running of the show. We really, really do appreciate you. All right. And want to take a quick break and thank the sponsor of this episode of AI Inside, Area. If you're feeling the AI anxiety that, can bubble up, especially, as these systems are getting built in every which direction, everywhere you look, there's a lot of uncertainty about like what this is all leading to, what it means for this. If you have questions about your job security or your cybersecurity or everything that lays in between, it can be easy to feel a little overwhelmed by all of that. It's just the rate of innovation in AI is really strong, is really high right now. And honestly, you're not alone in feeling that way. I talk, with a lot of people in technology. Even some of the most savvy folks that I talk to are saying the same thing. It's just hard to keep up with the pace of it all. Enter Area. This is the enterprise AI orchestration and security platform that's built to boost your confidence. So with Area, you don't have to compromise between speed and innovation or security and governance. You can find a balance point. It's really designed to give your team real peace of mind, helps you move fast without missing, the guardrails that might exist. And you can quickly deploy AI without cutting corners on compliance along the way as well. So you can give your teams the confidence to adopt AI with Area. So if AI has been feeling a little more like a risk than a tool lately, or at times, maybe it's time to let Area take some of that weight off your shoulders. And that would probably feel pretty good. Ready to eliminate your AI anxiety? Visit airia.com, area.com, to get started for free today. I'll spell it out again, airia.com, and check it out for yourself and see what they got for you. Really great stuff. We love having Area on board, so thank you for that. And yeah, check it out. And we thank them for their support of the AI Inside podcast. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and yeah, we got a little more about OpenAI, but this is a little different. This is about the chips. We'll talk about that in a second. So OpenAI has been, I guess, working on a project with Broadcom behind the scenes for a little while now, designing its own custom AI chips, goal of rolling out a 10 gigawatt infrastructure project by 2029. So that is a big goal. It's a few years down the line. I think the wider goal is reducing costs, of course, meeting this kind of rising demand that OpenAI has around its own AI, and ultimately giving OpenAI the ability to optimize its hardware for its models. This kind of reminds me of, what Google's been doing, at least on the mobile platform with Tensor and everything, building their own chips to really integrate with the AI that's on the mobile phone. I think a lot of these companies, this is their ambition, and OpenAI has a lot of resources to make that happen. So the deal involves billions in spending, also more energy. This is interesting. More energy demand than peak time summer usage in New York City. No big deal. So Broadcom, seeing its big payoff would take, let's see here, more than $100 billion in a few years' time. But it's risky. If there is indeed an AI bubble, as we have been talking, then, the tides could change, things could shift, economics shift dramatically if that happens. And Broadcom's potential is kind of, as a result, entirely dependent on that fact. Is OpenAI's business continuing to grow? Is it healthy, or do the headwinds change and Broadcom is left holding the bag? Don't know the answer to that, but OpenAI getting their own chips. There you go.
So we'll continue the sex theme. OpenAI screws around with a lot of lovers. I'll stop there.
OpenAI is very polyamorous. Yes.
Very indeed. And so it's amazing. I mean, obviously it was the first marriage was to Microsoft, and then that soured. And it's been deals with Nvidia, with AMD, with Oracle, with Broadcom. And the weird thing is that I don't know what the celebrity analogy here is, but it's if years ago you suddenly were seen dating Taylor Swift, she would raise your celebrity quotient considerably just by association.
Just by being connected with her. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And OpenAI oddly still has that fairy dust because Broadcom stock took a huge whomp. I forget the number, but it was something like, was it like 36% or some huge number in a day because of this deal. But there's a lot of risk involved. OpenAI isn't profitable. Who knows whether this is going to actually turn well or not. So fascinating that I guess OpenAI is leveraging its reputation for being the cool AI kid. And it's getting them deals like this. So God bless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. OpenAI using its own models, by the way, this was just an interesting little factoid that I saw. In order to design the chips themselves, they were using kind of their own models in part of the process of design. And this has been going on behind the scenes for about 18 months now. So a little while leading up to the announcement. And yeah, I think the big question mark is the risk that's involved, and do we actually think that we are in a bubble? And if we are in a bubble and it pops, which if we are in a bubble, it'll pop eventually, right? Things will change. Does it change in a time period where it makes this, a real big risk for Broadcom to kind of
Yep.
lose a lot in the process. Obviously don't know the answer to that yet, but
They're in the business of risk.
yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I'm not comfortable taking that kind of risk, but I don't run a, multi-billion-dollar
only
company.
you did, yeah.
And I guess they just kind of do, and whatever.
Because there's a cost to not taking risks too.
Yes, that's true. That's a really good point. I think it makes a lot of sense for OpenAI to be closer / control their destiny when it comes to the chips that they're using for this stuff too. So a risk worth taking, I suppose. So then maybe to power all of this, we were talking a little bit about the environmental impact of this stuff. And it came across this story in Bloomberg, US to see $350 billion nuclear boom to power AI, according to a report. The Bloomberg report projects that the US will invest $350 billion in nuclear energy by 2050. And there's a lot of demand, and especially when we're talking about AI-powered data centers, just an insane amount of demand. And so most of this new capacity would come from small modular reactors, unproven but lower cost. And yeah, is this the return? Is this nuclear's back, baby? Is that what we're looking at right now?
Better than coal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was talking to somebody the other day, just asking why are companies like GM now pulling back on EVs? And there's a lot of factors, obviously, the tax breaks going away, tariffs, and so on. But whoever this was said, it's interesting. We thought that when we could get all the cars on the grid, we'd kind of be done with the grid. We loaded up the grid now and didn't anticipate what AI was doing. And so AI is a huge drain on the grid and obviously has great impact on us. And comes ironically at a time when Trump is anti-wind and anti-solar, and Biden was trying to really increase both of those. And we're going to need every source of energy we can have, or else you and I are going to be spending a lot more for our power bill to do this damn podcast. Because our home power bill is going to go up because of the law of supply and demand. Mm-hmm. So, and the environmental impact only becomes greater when you go to the path of least resistance in energy. And if energy prices rise enough, then things like coal don't look as expensive anymore. Mm-hmm. So this is a huge factor. And I think we're going to see, there was a separate story somewhere this week about AI companies now building their own power plants. And the question is, well, what powers those power plants? Are we going to soon see the Sam Altman nuclear reactor? Are we going to see Musk with a nuclear reactor?
And oh my goodness, that just sounds...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to see that.
I'm not sure I do either.
Their company is built around accepting a lower level of not perfection, but a lower level of getting things right all the time.
Yeah.
And those two things, nuclear, you got to get.
You can
it
blow
right.
up a rocket once in a while, but blowing up a nuclear reactor, no thanks.
Yeah,
No thanks.
Not even one. Most of these, by the way, wouldn't be deployed until after 2035, so it's going to be kind of a slow growth sort of thing. The White House, as you alluded to, has goals to triple or quadruple nuclear output by 2050. So all of this kind of seeming to point to the possibility that maybe AI is the wedge that makes that more pertinent, that makes it more necessary, that really, especially with the White House kind of seeming to get more and more assertive around the importance of, for American success, we've got to be the leader in AI. And so maybe this is what pushes that nuclear further into the forefront. Definitely shifting gears a little bit, but I thought this was interesting. And is it Anduril? Anduril?
I don't even know. Let's see. Let's ask.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce Uril, right? First I ask how to spell it.
Anduril.
Anduril.
Yes.
Anduril.
Anduril. Okay. This is Palmer Luckey's defense tech company. So Palmer Luckey, of course, he was the original kind of founder / creator of the Oculus Rift, the kind of initial VR headset solution that was eventually bought by Facebook / Meta, turned into the Quest, really kind of became critical to Meta's development of its XR foundation aspects of its business, let's say. And so Palmer Luckey, made a lot of money from that. He now has had for a while this defense company called Anduril. And now we're starting to kind of see some of what they are working on. And it definitely ties into his VR roots. He's applying them to military applications. The company unveiled EagleEye earlier this week. And if you're watching the video version, you can kind of see a kind of a photo of what the technology looks like. Wow, lots of lenses propped up around the helmet, essentially, with a kind of a glasses approach over the eyes that apparently gives the effect of a mixed reality experience. So it brings artificial intelligence onto the battlefield through the helmet that has the lenses kind of built in, sensors shooting out the side and the back, and kind of scooping up and taking in all this information and then laying it out into real-time feeds and alerts that sit inside of the user's field of view. And it's, meant for the battlefield, essentially. So, some people don't feel too hot about that. What do you think?
So I'm doing my research about the beginnings of radio and amplification. One of the first uses of radio was to do a remote-controlled ship for target practice for Navy bombers. Mm-hmm. And the speculation at the time was, imagine this future when it's machine against machine, and whoever loses the most machines, like a chessboard, loses. And they didn't anticipate that these technologies would not just be used to go after machine to machine. They would also obviously be used, like drones in Ukraine and Russia, to go after people. Mm-hmm. And every advance in defense technology isn't just defense, it's also offense. Yeah. So Palmer Luckey has been very enthusiastic about defense possibilities, and it's a good business, especially now. But I don't know what to think. I think that if it's too, how augmented is it with AI as decision-making is what concerns me. It's less the technology, the glasses. It's what's being fed back into something and then back into the person who's armed. I don't know.
Yeah. They say, so it's running their software, which is called Lattice, that pulls in command tools, it pulls in live sensor feeds from all around the helmet, let's say, real-time alerts, all of this stuff kind of fed in to the experience. And there's different variants. You got the helmet, you got the visor, glasses form factors. And at the end of the day, kind of like you said, AI, again, comes up a lot, but is kind of imperfect. And so how do you weigh that in a battlefield scenario where an imperfect bit of information can literally lead to the death of someone or many someones? And that, the stakes are high, I guess, to make sure that you're getting it right. But this is definitely science fiction stuff, right? Like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm sure Palmer Luckey saw on Predator and whatever other movies, that kind of integrated this. And I'm curious to know why Palmer Luckey made the jump from, maybe this is printed somewhere, but why his go-to jump from Oculus was military and weaponry.
I don't know. Stuff. I've seen any reason
Very
why. Obviously, he got mad at Zuckerberg and at Facebook. Mm-hmm. And left because he thought that his stuff was being misused in various ways. So then he goes into defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Anduril has a $150 million contract with the Army to prototype mixed reality systems like this one. So this is kind of what it, at least a piece of what it's leading to. And and you mentioned Meta. Anduril also announced partnership with Meta to create, in the past anyways, to create XR hardware for the military. So Palmer Luckey apparently, made up with Meta, and they are working together again, reunited, and it feels so good. All right. I know we've got a sound effect for this, but it's time for Jeff's what is it called? I need to have this more instantly attainable. Archive Showdown. There we go. All right. Show us what you got.
Three
Jeff.
quick papers from my perusal of papers from the preprint server archive, arxiv.org. The number is now up to about 700 a week of these new papers. Most of which I don't understand, and some of these I don't fully understand. But real quick, one study here was about looking at the impact of ads in LLMs. And so the interesting thing that came out of this paper by people from University of Michigan was that users struggled to detect ads. And of course, that matters about how they're put in and so on. But even, this is the amazing part, they even preferred LLM responses with hidden advertisements. Why that is, we'd have to ask the people, but I found that interesting. Rather than clicking on our advertising disclosure, participants tried changing their advertising settings using natural language queries. This is a whole new field about what should an ad be. I go back in my history stuff to Vance Packard, who made a moral panic around advertising in movies that we were being given subliminal advertising, that there were flashes of ads that were making us go out and buy Pepsi at the refreshment stand. And it turned out to be pretty much a fraud, and it was not the case. But we're going to see this coming around again, where people are going to be asking what norms, what rules, what ethics are there around advertising? How is this going to mess up AI? And by the way, if you think that AI is paying for itself right now, it ain't. That's why all there's that venture capital money in there. So I think you're going to see AI in here. You have a company like Google whose entire business is built on advertising. So expect more of this.
Paper 100%.
Paper 2, thousands of AI authors on the future of AI. When they say authors, what they meant was 2,778 researchers who published top-tier intelligence venues on their predictions on the pace of AI. And this study was done in 2 years, and so we're going to see a progression here of what they think. So if you go down, Jason, to page 5, you'll see the kinds of things that they speculate about. In the 2022 study, versus 23, so it's just 1 year apart, full automation of labor for all human jobs. The guess in 2022 was not until about the year 2175. But then 1 year later, it leaps down to about 2150. I'm sorry, 21
like
10,
10
yeah, 2110. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
So, or 20 or something like that. I can't tell. The scale here is crappy.
Right.
But that was interesting to see where that goes. And generally, things got faster in their views. When would a New York Times bestselling fiction be written by AI? Now it tends to run down at about 2075. Before it was 2175. So a whole century in 1 year went down. So other predictions are things like, will AI be a retail salesperson? Will it answer undecided questions well? Will a bipedal robot do a 5-kilometer city race in a superhuman view? Will it read text out loud? Well, that's easy. Will it play Angry Birds? And so on and so forth. Will it assemble Lego given instructions? A lot of this robotic as well. So this is something I think we'll keep an eye on. If this is from various universities, from Berkeley, University of Bonn, and Oxford as well, to see where the people who are very much involved in this. And I don't necessarily buy their predictions, because this is the same folks who give you doomers and AGI and things that I think are BS. But it'll be interesting to track what they think.
Yeah, I mean, and this scale here. So when I'm looking at it, the top, and if you're watching the video version, this makes more sense than if you're listening. So apologies, but the top thing is the really friggin' far out kind of predictions, right? The full automation of labor, high level machine, intelligence, all human tasks, blah, blah, blah. That's the one that scales out at the longest to 2160 or something like that. This bottom area, basically everything that you see here, they are predicting is going to happen sometime in the next probably, 15 years. If So that's quite a change. I mean, if this actually was accurate, and again, who the heck knows? Some of this will probably happen, some of it won't, but still, that's a large amount of a shift in how we are perception of what normal is. Let's put it say.
Right. And every one of these, pardon me, went faster. Not every one of them.
Yeah.
Most of them went faster. A few of them slowed down as they got
a few
some
of
sense
them.
of
But yeah, you're right. The ones that slowed down, that's so interesting. I wonder why some of them slowed down. It's interesting.
Anyway, all right, third paper, real quick, is artificial intelligence expands scientists' impact but contracts science's focus. This is by a university in China, by the University of Chicago and the Santa Fe Institute, and also Google. And they looked at the impact of AI on scientific research and found that scientists who engage in AI-augmented research publish 3.02 times more papers and receive 4.84 times more citations and become project leaders 1.37 years earlier than those who don't. Good news. Bad news. By contrast, AI research shrinks the collective volume of scientific topics studied by 4.63%. It decreases scientists' engagement with one another by 22% because they're engaging with the AI. So they're focusing more on a few things. They're getting a lot more done in those topics, but they're narrowing their focus, doing fewer topics, and also collaborating with each other less. So those are profound impacts, I would say. We don't know what the impact of those impacts are, but it's really interesting this is being followed, and this is why I read these papers. And now you need an end theme for the...
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It does the trick, beginning and end.
Yeah.
Thank you for reading all of the research.
I don't read them all. Most of the papers, even the headlines, I can't understand, but interesting stuff there.
But the ones that stand out,
yes,
that's awesome. Appreciate that. Real quick, if you are enjoying this show, make sure and leave us a review. You can go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review wherever you watch or listen. If there's a way to drop a rating. But really, the reviews are really important. So go to Apple Podcasts, just log in and do it, and we appreciate it. It'd be really, really helpful. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a little speed round of a few stories, and that starts with a really powerful little computer by Nvidia. Coming up in a sec. All right, let's jump in here. NVIDIA's DGX Spark. It's a personal AI supercomputer. Just went on sale, I think effective, a few days ago anyway. So, October 15th. So at the time
it goes on sale then, right? Well, orders went up and it sold out immediately.
Oh, it did.
Price is $39.99, $3,999.
Okay.
There'll be a few vendors selling them, making them. It's a Grace Blackstone chip in there, so you really have an amazing power at your desk. They gave one to Elon Musk. They also gave one to Jan LeCun and other folks. And I think especially if you're a student working on this stuff, it's pretty amazing that you can have your own local chip sitting there right there on your desk and able to work on this. It's one of these cases where I wouldn't know what the hell to do with it if I had it, but I kind of want one.
Totally.
Just I want to be AI, right? I want
one to check my email.
Right.
That's what I want.
So, and by the way, so fine. So I can download a model, put it on the model on there. That's cool. But then what am I going to do? Same thing I would do with the model online. So it's not meant for me. It's a gadget. I like gadgets, but
I have to imagine, that there are people listening or watching who are like, oh, I know exactly what I'd do with this.
Yeah,
and if you have that, contact at AI-Inside-Show. Let us know.
We'd love to hear.
I'd love to know.
Yep.
Love to know what you put that to use for. But Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, all offering their own versions of this using their own branding. So, kind of a family of devices coming soon that you can expect to see. Key or Kay Yang, Apple's leader of the Answers, Knowledge, and Information Department, that's basically driving the effort behind the scenes to make Siri more ChatGPT-like as far as how it's pulling information from the web and integrating and all that kind of stuff, is leaving for Meta. This is, just another of the big departures happening from Apple's AI division, going to Meta's superintelligence lab group. And Yang has been regarded as one of the most prominent executives working on this revamped Siri initiative. So it's a big loss for Apple, not to mention the fact that nearly a dozen other members of his team have left for Meta in recent months as well. So there's something going on here. And maybe that something is just that Meta is offering ridiculous amounts of money.
True that. But I also think people are very frustrated. They're very frustrated with the pace of AI at Apple. So
yeah, totally. Maybe they feel that AI is not getting what it deserves there, what they feel it deserves, especially if that's their core business. So yeah, could be the case. Salesforce announced the global rollout of Agentforce 360. So it's a cloud-based AI platform. It integrates its services for more than 12,000 clients currently. So there's AgentScript, which is a tool for if-then AI responses. That releases in beta in November, and that basically gives the agent a little bit more predictability for situations like fielding customer questions, that sort of stuff, kind of building it directly in there. So it definitely gets certain things right. There's an Agentforce builder, also Agentforce Vibes, which is a vibe coding tool. They all have vibe coding tools now. That was announced earlier this month. And then Salesforce also announced Slack integration. So users can complete tasks within a chat inside of Slack with connections that feed into Agentforce services like sales, IT, HR, all that kind of stuff. Salesforce, I'm not super close to the Salesforce thing, but I'm sure this is something that speaks to a lot of people.
I spoke at Dreamforce once, and it was amazing. I think it's this week, and there are 45,000 people at Dreamforce, and it's quite a force of people who use Salesforce. And AI has to be thick in this. And I think Salesforce, they didn't drag their heels. They were a little bit cautious, and then now they are full in. So they fear, according to one story in Yahoo Finance, they fear what's coming with agentic AI, but on the other hand, they're saying we're going to be on top of agentic AI. So is OpenAI a competitor with them? Mark Benioff, who's quite the salesman himself, also has been arguing lately that he says that AI customer service has saved them $100 million annually. So he's all in.
Wow.
All in.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that could give a lot of businesses kind of a boost on how they do things. And that'll be, Salesforce moves the needle for a lot of businesses. So that'll be interesting. Google's Nano Banana, which is always fun to say, expanding to more products, Google Search via Google Lens. So you could take a photo and right there transform it, which is another one of those things I'm like, wait a minute. So what does this have to do with search? I'm so confused on what taking a photo of something and transforming it into something else has to do with Google Search. But
so basically, if you see something in search that you want to use, now you can just stick it right in Nano Banana. I don't think it changes search so much as it changes the way you use Nano Banana.
Oh, I see. So if I'm searching, I get it. And actually, I think they're probably demonstrating that if you're watching the video version. I'm on search. I see this picture of this bed I like. And so I want to import that picture of the bed and wonder what it looks like if I put these sheets on it.
If you put your own dog on top of it, right.
Got it. That makes more sense.
And then they also put it in NotebookLM, which is a little confusing.
Yes.
But there it's interesting because they're going to make video overviews different. So they're going to have 6 new styles for overviews, like watercolor and anime, to generate contextual illustrations based on your sources. So you put your material into NotebookLM, you not only can make a podcast, you can make a animated PowerPoint. Explain this to you. So I think this is intended probably for the education market, where explain this to me. Explain how these Jason had 5 apples and Jeff had 4 apples and Jason ate 1 apple, and how many apples does the dog have? And then you can have illustrations of this.
Given it knows how to do all the simple math, which I always find funny when AI gets simple math wrong.
Right.
But yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then also coming soon to Photos, by the way. So
Yeah.
NotebookLM coming to Photos. Curious to see that.
Nano Banana coming to Photos.
Or sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. Nano Banana coming to.
I want to say Nano Banano.
Nano Banano. I know that
I
would
want
be
to,
even,
but it's not. It's Nano Banana.
even funner.
I think they also just trying to get it everywhere and show everybody. I saw somebody did a comparison this
Yeah.
week of Sora and Nano Banana, and said Nano Banana won for all the attention Sora is getting. I think Google's a little jealous once again and trying to put it everywhere they can, so people say, "Oh, this is cool."
Do you think Google's going to do the social network thing that Sora's doing? I think it might happen. That would be
Been there, man. I have an old,
Yeah.
I have swag from various events and stuff, and I
Yeah.
needed a hat to sit outside, and I pulled one out of the closet. I didn't know what I was pulling out, and I pulled out a Google Plus hat. I thought, oh yeah,
that's a
those are
keeper.
the days. Those are the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Christina Warren already has one in her catalog, but if she doesn't, she collects like old,
Dead
like
swag.
defunct, dead swag. So if you ever think about getting rid of it, just get in touch with Christina Warren. Figure, which is a robotics company, has a new humanoid robot that might do your chores for you. Might. It's oh wow, this thing's so weird. It's got kind of like a fabric quality to it, which makes me wonder how you keep it clean if something spills on it. But anyways, it can fold clothes, wash dishes, water plants, serve food. And I say it can, fully knowing that, like this is,
Not yet.
yeah, I mean, they're introducing this. There's no pricing. I don't know how close we are to having humanoid robots in our house doing things for us, but as soft and plushy as this thing looks, it's still absolutely frightening to me. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine walking into a room and seeing that thing doing the dishes.
In that story we had, the paper we had earlier about the predictions about the future, folding clothes is one of the more difficult tasks.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they're odd shape, they're human shapes. Why the hell aren't you more logical than this? Right? What are these sleeves? What do you do with this stuff? So it shows this supposedly folding clothes, but it's all BS at this stage.
It shows it putting a shirt on a bed.
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
doesn't show it folding the clothes.
No.
We'll see. But they claim that it can. So I suppose it probably can to a certain degree. It stands 5'6" tall, 5-hour runtime, wireless charging. It has an enhanced grasping engine with embedded palm cameras. I don't know. I mean, even if this doesn't mean that we'll have humanoid robots in our house anytime soon, certainly seems like we're heading in a direction where we might see these in houses at some point.
I have this vision, Jason, that you get one, and it runs out of power, and you leave the house, and you come back, and Bronson is eating the leg off.
Oh God. Oh man. Oh, I wonder how dogs would respond to a humanoid robot. What would they do? Oh, that's scary. Bronson would eat the leg. Yeah, he'd probably eat the foot.
Gnaw on it. Yeah.
I didn't include it in the rundown, but I did talk about it on the Daily Tech News Show, so I thought I'd mention real quick that Microsoft has announced that its next update to Windows 11 will have AI voice with Copilot integrated into the OS. So Microsoft is essentially making voice input another major kind of like input source, along with the keyboard, the mouse, now the voice with Copilot, and eventually with Agentic AI. So these AI tendrils making their way into the operating system of Windows, for better or for worse. Also, context of what's on the screen, all that kind of stuff feeding into it. So kind of makes sense. I imagined, I'm sure I'm not the only one that imagined this is kind of the direction things are going, but here you go. Microsoft basically saying it's happening, and here's an update to bring it to you. And then finally, we do mention every once in a while that you can send us emails, and sometimes we get them. So I thought I'd read one from John from Galway, Ireland, who says, I laughed and had to pause last week's episode actually, just now to send you a note when Jeff said he found videos with 3 different angles of Kamala Harris saying the same thing, which made him believe that the incident was real. Not 2 minutes earlier, while listening to the same conversation, I was wondering how scammers would try to convince people of things being real, and one of those being creating videos of the same incident from multiple angles and posting them from different accounts. Why not?
Yeah, you're only ever maybe a half step ahead of the bad guys, probably a half step behind.
Totally. Yes, indeed. John says, longtime follower of the Twit Network and yourselves, This Week in Google, all about Android, etc. for many years. Glad to hear you had a great time in Dublin also, Jason.
Thank you, John.
Yes. It was a fantastic trip, but I won't talk anymore about that. I think I've done that to death. Thank you, Jeff, for a wonderful episode. Thank you for pushing off a day. I'm sorry that I had to.
No, it paid dividends because we got a show about sex, Jason. What more can you ask for?
That's true. I should put that on the title. Guaranteed we'll get like 30% more.
I think so. So quick anecdote. So years ago, in the early blogging days, I used blog ads, and Henry Copeland, a wonderful guy who started this thing just for advertisers. And we were constantly trying to do things to make more money, and he put in a big format ad. And it was known generally as the big ass ad. And I wrote a post apologizing to my readers saying, I'm going to have the big ass ad. And for some long time afterwards, if you searched for big ass, I came up first.
Oh, no.
By either definition, I'm not happy. But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Any search is good search.
It's good
Any
search,
news
that's
is
right.
good news, right? Something along those lines. Hey, I just noticed something. You've got Hot Type on your jeffjarvis.com site.
It is available for pre-order. There it is. There's
Amazing.
the cover. Actually, that's a slightly earlier cover, but it's good enough for this. Yes. So you can pre-order. If you're listening to us on Thursday or Friday and you're in the UK, that's a subset of a subset I know. You can pre-order at Waterston's for a 25% discount. If you go there, you'll see all the current discounts there. But you can order it now on Amazon and Bloomsbury. It doesn't come out till June. And I'm hoping I can convince them to do the audiobook at the same time. But I am today and tomorrow doing my final edit before sending it into copy editing to find all the ways that I embarrass myself.
How exciting, though.
So the full title is Hot Type, the magnificent machine that gave birth to mass media and drove Mark Twain mad.
Love it. Love it. It's very bold with the red title.
The designer's great. He did a good job.
Yeah, looks great. Fantastic. Oh, it's so good to have visual on it now. So now you can find 4 things on jeffjarvis.com. Hot Type, Gutenberg parenthesis, magazine, and the web we weave, all found at jeffjarvis.com. Congratulations. That's a milestone right there.
Yeah.
Love it. Good work. AIinside.show for everything you need to know about this show. Just go there and you can find all the details. Pretty easy to find how to subscribe, find all the episodes, reviews. If ever we get a new one, it'll appear there, but we're a little behind the times. Need you guys to step up a little bit and go ahead and throw a review in there. But it's okay. I understand. We're all busy. And then AI Inside on Patreon. Patreon.com/AI Inside Show is how you can support us directly, like a few of our amazing executive producers do each and every month. Dr. Do, Jeffrey Maricini, Radio Asheville 103.7, Dante St. James, Bono Day Rick, Jason Neifert, Jason Brady, Anthony Downs, and Mark Starcher. Thank you so very much for your deep support for this show. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate you immensely. That is it for this episode. We will see you next week, probably on Wednesday, because that's when we normally do AI Inside. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.